If Ernie stumbled upon his father being trampled to death in a stampede, he would make what sound?
Let's kick it off.
Bert, is there a God?
Reckless sting.
Oh, the joy you brought to my life.
Oh! Is
Check.
it recording?
Welcome to the Eleventylife podcast.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Eleventylife, Eleventy-Lifers.
Yeah!
I'm so glad that you're here right now. I'm happy. Happy to be here. Hey, so this is the very first podcast that we are doing from the control room in the brand new Rock Candy Recordings studio.
So cozy.
It's so fun. The floors are made of glitter. For those of you who have never seen this space before, that was my only stipulation for a new studio. It was just I want glitter floors.
Check.
Yep. So we did it. A lot of you have been asking that we finish our album commentary, and gosh, for whatever reason, we just keep getting sidetracked from finishing this thing up. So our apologies for it taking like a month and a half in between track commentary episodes. We thought that we were going to release them side A and side B.
We actually didn't even plan to do the second part.
Yeah, we did.
No, we were just going to leave it
right.
the way it was.
Yeah, anyway.
All right, cool.
If you want to hear some of the stories and some of the production tricks and some of the, stories behind the lyrics or the content or the creative process behind the first half of Rad Science, which we put out this past November, yeah, go back and check that episode out. It's a really fun episode hearing us talk about all the shit we've done.
That's debatable. It's debatable how fun it is. I don't think we're the right people to judge the funness of it.
No, not at all. I mean, we had a ton of fun making the record. Well, it was.
Well, it was all right.
It was a lot. That's what this podcast is all about. Anyway, before we get started, I want to give a few shout outs because we are overdue for shout outs right now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Shout out
first and foremost
to JC. Yeah, man. No, I'm not going to give a shout out to Jesus Christ. Apparently, he's always listening, so it doesn't matter.
Well, that's the time you give a shout out when you're listening.
Right. So a couple weeks ago, I actually hung out with a few listeners of the show. A big shout out to Leah and Anna. Thank you so much for spending time grabbing some coffee. That was really fun. It was cool to hear your thoughts about the show. It was fun to hear, how it's resonating or what you liked and what you didn't like. Yeah, cool. So that was super fun.
Yeah, I was going to come, but I didn't want to.
Yeah. Davey was going to show up, but it simply wasn't important to him.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So I want to give a huge shout out to Emily. I think your last name is Pie. I'm not entirely sure, but you have sent me a really sweet birthday gift in the mail, and you always have kind things to say about the show online.
What was it? Where is it?
Yeah, well, she actually makes these little cards that are like lyric cards. They have like lyrics or album covers or something on them. She does them all in Sharpie, and she sent a few of them to me in the mail, and they're just absolutely charming. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Huge shout out to her. Oh yeah, I've actually got some right here. She did the entire Stranger Things Jellyrox logo.
Oh.
And sent it to me.
Cool.
Yeah. And then here's a lyric. I'm starting to like being me from one of the songs. Anyway, she says really sweet things. And there's a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote on the back of this one. Music takes us out of the actual and whispers to us dim secrets that startle our wonder as to who we are.
Wow.
Thank you, Emily.
That is so much deeper than the song.
Than any of our songs.
Of the card that you've drawn on.
Yes, an intellectual Alaskan. That's what you are, Emily.
Oh, she's Emily from Alaska.
Yeah, she's Emily from Alaska. You've seen her around. You're wandering around online doing her thing. So anyway, intro's out of the way. We're going to head straight into doing this album commentary. On the last episode that we did that was album commentary, we left off on a song called Microchip. In this episode, we're going to start from the song Inside Out, which is if you have the vinyl of Rad Science, then this would be the beginning of side B.
Ooh, almost like we did that on purpose.
Almost like we did it on purpose. Yeah. So Inside Out. I remember I had no idea how you guys were going to respond to this song. And I think you might have just come up to the studio. I think you and Craigo had come up to the studio for a weekend that we were going to work on like pre-production for the new Revelry record.
I think it was a podcast weekend.
Or was it a podcast weekend?
Yeah, because John was there.
Oh, yeah. That's when we were recording the podcast with John.
Yeah.
I played you guys this song thinking that it was an outlier.
Yeah, well, like 15 seconds of the song. Like, you didn't have much of it. You had like the intro in the first verse, and
but no chorus.
You had like a skeleton chorus.
I normally have like a verse and a chorus, at least the first verse and chorus, just to see. Because by that time, it's like if you're not into the first verse and chorus, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah. So you showed us you pitched 2 demos that day. One was, what was that? It was like a Weezer type song.
I think it was a song that didn't make the album called My Kind of Fire. No, or Never After.
No, Never After made the album.
Oh, okay.
It was a song. It was like, it had a really cool melody, and I can't remember the name of the song. Maybe we'll do B-sides.
It didn't make the record.
Didn't make the record. Probably because we heard that after we heard Inside Out. And when I heard Inside Out, I'm like, yeah, no, we need to rethink a lot of things, because that sort of pointed the ship in a direction that maybe when we hung things up 4 or 5 years ago, that seemed like the direction the ship was going to be pointed towards.
Yeah.
Then we came back and we started writing a bunch of rock songs, and then you pitched that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, and it's a really great tune. Great song.
Yeah, it's like a different. I think for me, it was one of the songs where I could totally see Eleventy doing it, and I think it changed the way I was thinking about the record that we were going to make.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
Changed what I thought Rad Science was going to be. Because up until that point, we were kind of throwing spaghetti against a wall and seeing if any of the balls stuck. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
That's a mixed metaphor.
Yeah, it's totally mixed metaphor, and it's not an awesome one. But yeah, we were like, how much punk rock, how much power pop, how much electro pop, how much synth pop, like how do we, is it a punk rock record and then we season to taste with synthesizers? Or is it something completely different? What's going to inform the process? And I think for whatever reason, I didn't think that Eleventy had a song like Inside Out in its discography yet. And I was like, this kind of feels like uncharted territory for me.
Yeah, it felt, I hate saying this word because it sounds like such an arrogant thing, but it felt innovative from like where we are, like
from our creative stance, it felt like innovation for us.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah.
So it felt different. So it felt really good. Now the intro, that appreciated synth line, sort of reminiscent of Stranger Things, but it's not the same thing.
It's really not the same thing. I've had so many people say that. They're like, there have been people online that have been like, "Oh my gosh, this song reminds me of Stranger Things," and I'm like, I think it's because most of the track for this song is done on a Prophet, on like that's the name of the synthesizer that it's done on.
And I know that
I think they use a lot of that stuff. I mean, I think that Survive, who are the guys that do the backing tracks and the sort of scoring to all the Stranger Things stuff, they're amazing, by the way. Really, really killer tones.
So you think
killer sensibility.
That's definitely the audiophile in you coming out, because what I think it is, it's just the combination of arpeggiated notes.
It's just a plucky arpeggiated note, and it's kind of what the Stranger Things theme is.
Yeah. So, but this song, from the beginning, it was like, okay, that's what this song is. It's what it's sort of going to sound like. We were totally in. Everybody's on board. Demo process finished, and it's basically very, very close to what it is today.
Yeah, I don't think it changed much.
Yeah, I think the only like window dressing that we put up were just weird sounds, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of like, here's the song. The song is a bass line, and it's the arpeggiator, and it's like those are kind of the things that drive the track of the song. And then a lot of what I feel like makes the mood of the song feel so dark or maybe so ominous is just me literally goofing off with making different noises with synthesizers and with guitar pedals, just running nothing through a guitar pedal and putting it on 11, just seeing what I can do with nothingness. Yeah, I think lyrically, this was definitely like one of the darker sort of tracks that we ended up with on the record. The song itself lyrically is kind of just about me going crazy and not really knowing what to do about it. Like we've talked about this before, like during the making of Rad Science, I had a ton of just gargantuan highs and lows happening all at once. I remember writing the lyrics to this song and just being so sad, but feeling like I needed to kind of lean into that sadness. So it's probably me on the back porch of the old studio, chain smoking and drinking. Okay. Drinking myself into lyrics that I felt like were representative of what I was feeling at the time. I think writing those kinds of songs also felt really freeing because
Sure.
there are a lot of times where, especially in Eleventy, I always feel this. I feel this responsibility to make sure that everything turns out okay in the end.
Right.
You know, like I
Resolution.
feel like a sitcom, like most Eleventy songs end up with sort of a sitcom reset, or even Eleventy albums, they end up with like a sitcom reset where it's like reality resets and then we kind of start it over again.
Right.
I feel like there are a few songs on this one where I'm like, you know what? It's okay for the song to not end well. It's okay for me to still at the end of the song be just as lost at the end of it as I was at the beginning of it.
So, yeah, I agree. I think that's important to be able to admit as an artist.
Sure.
However, there are always real world consequences to our actions. And we've gotten a good bit of email.
Oh yeah, we have.
About the lack of resolution in storytelling here and how sad the record is.
Yeah, we've had a lot of emails come in and maybe we'll do an episode about that, kind of reading through some of the fan mail that we've gotten back. But I feel like we lost the attention of a nice segment of people that were used to Eleventy sounding a certain way, tonally or lyrically. And then now that we've kind of just pulled out all the stops and we're comfortable with ourselves and comfortable with people knowing who we are and what we value and where we are in our life and with faith and religion and just living in general, I think it certainly made some people uncomfortable, or at least that's what the emails kind of seem to say, is like there were people that were mad at us for writing such sad, depressing songs,
which we appreciate the emails,
and I totally
emails.
get that, and but it's like you always have the off button, you always have the skip button.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's just for us. This was a really important record in our journey as artists, in our journey as people, in our journey as humans, and as many emails as we've gotten from people that are like, "Yeah, I'm really bummed out by the lyrical content of what you guys have done." I've also had people that have come alongside us and been like, it was so encouraging just to have somebody be open and honest, because I resonate with that, or because they resonated with something that I said, or going through a place in life where they could relate. So
we're doing the best we can, folks.
We're doing the
best we can.
But I actually really, really love how dark the song is, because it's super moody and vibey, and I remember getting so pumped whenever we got it back from mastering, and I was like,
I write moody, vibey songs, so I'm all about it, man. I am in.
You do write moody, vibey songs.
I do.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. So yeah,
we made a video for it.
This is the one we have a music video for.
There's going to be a link in the show notes.
We will put a link to the music video in the show notes. And we kind of tried to do the same thing with the music video. We just tried to make it moody and vibey and aesthetic for aesthetic's sake. I think is maybe the best way of describing the creative approach to that. We literally just got a bunch of our friends in a room and we were like, you've got lasers, you've got lights, here's a stage. Let's shut all the lights off and see if we can make something fun. Yeah, so I'm happy with how that video turned out.
I am too.
Pretty sweet.
It was it's nice to know that we can pull things off.
I think I get really excited thinking about pulling this song off live, like thinking about how we do this live.
For sure.
Because there are times like in the creative process where you're writing a song and you can get bogged down with the minutia of like, well, what should we put it on the record if we don't have a really great way of translating it live? And I feel like that's the most crippling question you can ask yourself in the like the studio's an instrument, use it.
Not the correct question.
Play
to
it
ask.
right. Wrong question. Like make the song you need to make and figure out how it translates live after the fact. I think if I had just worried about how the song was going to end up live, it would have been a very muted song. It wouldn't have the vibe. It wouldn't be as synth heavy as it is.
Yeah.
I could probably say that about a few different tracks on the record. That's Inside Out.
Cool. Get into it.
Did you have anything else
no,
you wanted to say about that track?
It's probably at times my favorite on the record still. I don't know. I love it.
Cool. So right after Inside Out on the record, there's this song that really does kind of feel like an outlier sonically called Kick the Habit. This song, I think, was the very last one to sneak into these Rad Science sessions. I think we actually had the album recorded and thought that we knew what the track listing was going to be. And then all of a sudden it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm just questioning what you're saying right now, because I think that's true about Hourglass, but I don't think that's true about Kick the Habit. I think Kick the Habit because Kick the Habit, you sent you did a video on your phone of the hook, and you sent it to me, and it was pretty early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't finished yet.
Kick the Habit was another one of those. It's kind of it's clearly a song about addiction and struggling with addiction in like whatever form that takes in your life. And so I just kind of thought, like sonically, I wanted to make something that sounded as tough as addiction is to overcome.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it was like most of the track basically ends up being this super old synthesizer that I have called a Juno 106, which is all over this album. It's like my favorite synth of all time. And then I ran that through a whole bunch of distortion pedals to kind of make this really nasty, growly, grindy sort of synthesizer sound that felt kind of unique to me. It didn't feel dubstep-ish. It
felt closer to Britney Spears.
Do you think so?
Yeah, it did. Like that.
Like the Blackout album?
Yeah, that one.
The Blackout album's got some pretty tough sounding synthesizers on it.
What's the single from that? This one reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the melody too, because it's very that's a very Britney bitch thing to do.
Yeah, and it's like I think this structurally in the verses, it was like kind of the keep it simple, stupid thing. Dun, 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 dun. It's so many pop songs. Yeah.
See, there it is. That's what it's toxic. Yeah, no, I love this one too from the beginning because I think it feels kind of musy at the end of the chorus.
Yeah, kind of goes into this bridge. I remember the approach to this song being like, I'm always looking to make synthesizers feel as rock and roll as guitars do. That's why I'm always like pushing them through stuff that normally guitars would go through.
Yeah.
And I think
you succeeded here.
This is probably one of the toughest tracks in the Eleventy discography. It feels super 9 Inch Nails-ish to me.
Yeah.
Like a little Britney Spears meets 9 Inch
Trent
Nails.
Reznor, yeah.
Yeah.
And especially the bridge, that elongated bridge with the dissonant guitar riff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great rendition of it. Yeah. We're having fun playing this one live,
I don't even
too.
know why we make records anymore. We should just record you mimicking things and just throw it all together. But I thought this was pretty fun, and it's also one of the songs where I feel like creatively we're learning how to let things breathe. And so there's very few Eleventy songs where we head into a bridge and there's really not a lot being said. It's like
That's
normally we
true,
either try to tie the story up in a bridge or to show a different spin on the story in the bridge, and that kind of wins most of the time as the song sort of win or the lyrics win. And I feel like in this one I had shut all the lights off in the studio and I was just sort of playing the parts and like tracking the parts as it was. And I just thought, I want this to feel like a really cool moment, like at a show. Like if I were at a show, what would I need to kind of put me in the mood or like take me to a different place where I am? Like something that feels a little transcendent or that pulls me out of the moment.
Yeah, in the past we would have probably, so that bridge is split up into a couple of different sections. They're basically the same thing, but it builds. It starts really heavy, but it ends heavier.
And it kind of goes down and then slowly it builds and parts start adding over top of one another and playing off of each other. And normally in Eleventy songs, I feel like it's we most of the time just go to da 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 da.
Hey! Yeah, what would have likely happened? There would have been like, this is a peek behind the curtain of the way we think as musicians. It would have been that second chorus. You would have gone straight into the loudest 2 bars of that bridge.
Yeah.
There would have been a down chorus immediately after.
Yeah.
And then there would have been a final up chorus. Here you added probably 45 seconds to the song.
Yeah.
30, 45.
I mean, it really gives it a minute.
Yeah, you come out of that chorus and then you do this long build into a sort of down chorus there, right?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of the down chorus, and normally that's what I default to in songwriting, just because I like hearing the chorus kind of stripped bare. I love that.
And that's what it means.
Writing
like
device.
A down chorus is, you usually hear it it's either like the first chorus of a given song or it's the next to last chorus of a given song, and it's basically, there's probably just a piano and it's probably just the singer singing real breathy.
Yeah.
And that's like 90% of music.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But and we're no different than that, really. Most of the time,
it's a fun writing device to hear the chorus in a different way, or to make the chorus somehow more intimate for the listener. And then it also kind of provides some dynamic range where it's like translate the chorus a little differently, and then you have somewhere to go so that you don't feel like you're just constantly getting louder and louder and louder and louder.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, you're like, God, turn the song off. I'm tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited to do this song live because I have no idea what it would turn out to be, but I like the approach of kind of letting it breathe. I think I learned this from doing Jellyrox stuff.
Yeah.
I did a show with the Jellyrox last year, and I just remember kind of looking out over the audience, and there were 3 or 4 moments in the set where I realized I was committing a cardinal sin of live performance. And part of it is just because, you program a set that you think is going to work really well, and then you kind of have to stick to that set when you're so track heavy or so synthesizer heavy and playing live. And I feel like what I learned by watching this specific set was that just when everybody was kind of starting to get into what was happening, or feeling like they had heard enough of the music, like it was repetitive enough, like I had given them enough to kind of hang on to, and then start
the song
dancing.
ends.
Yeah. The song's over. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, what do we do? I was just getting in the mood. And then now it's like total boner kill. Like to have the song just end right there.
I think that's something that like EDM has taught a lot of people. It's that while the recording for us, the song is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Live, it doesn't have to be completely about the singing of the song.
Yeah, live it's about feeling it out and letting the audience tell you what they want.
Yeah, creating shared experience.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. It's amazing. What's the next one?
I'm pretty
on our
amazing.
list? Does Hourglass come next? Or
yeah, Hourglass.
Okay.
It's about Beth Langston's figure.
Oh my God. Please don't talk about my mom's body.
I take it back.
Podcast.
Well, I shouldn't take it back. I mean,
it's so ridiculous. No,
I don't take it back.
That's your prerogative.
Okay.
Hourglass is, gosh.
See, I think Hourglass was the last song. Because I remember
on the record?
Yeah. I remember sitting with Craigo and we were working on some demo for something.
Yeah.
Maybe Revelry or something like that. And then you sent me this and I pulled it up and I played it from my computer. And I thought we were finished basically with the whole all
record.
of it. And then Craigo said, is he just starting again? Is he just starting to write a different record?
No, I'm just never done.
No, it's like, yeah. I don't know, but this is rad. This is a great song.
I had
Also, this is one of those songs where it's like, it isn't your traditional structure. It feels like it is, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not. There's
it's verse 1, 2, chorus, bridge, chorus, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the intro doubles as verse 1.
Right.
And so by the time you get to verse 2, which feels like verse 1, you're like, oh wait, what's going on? So yeah, it's structurally a little bit different than some of the rest of the stuff that was happening. This was probably the hardest song for me to write because it was definitely. I mean, I think of all of the like super maybe depressing songs lyrically that ended up on the record, this is probably the saddest one. Like I remember writing the lyrics to this song, I was drinking so much and smoking so much just to deal with what I was thinking about during this song, because it was like every single sad thing I could think about, like my life and my relationships and all of this sort of got summed up into this one track. And at the end of it, when I was done writing it, I almost felt like maybe it's too honest.
I started to feel like it was too honest. To say it's extraordinarily honest. It's like there's no I mean, it's not even like really heavy on metaphors either. It's like, no, like
it's just all the shit.
It's like, here's all the shit. And it's not even like heavy on trying to
mask it or make it artistry.
Yeah.
Make it artistic.
I think it's not really trying to make it fit in with the rest of the, like tonally with like your approach as an artist, like the way you approach songs. This is just like the, and these are always my favorite kinds of songs.
Yeah.
The stark, here are the exact words that are in my brain, and I don't want to change any of it.
Yep.
Like the exact thing I'm thinking, because it feels like as an artist, a lot of the time you're just grabbing stuff out of the air anyway.
Yeah.
Right? You're sort of this antenna, and there's like all these songs floating around, and sometimes you just get to grab one.
Yeah.
And you get to write it. And that's sometimes what it feels like to write a song. I think there's something to be said about not running it through any filters. Just grab it. Whatever comes out, comes out. That's the song, and let's move on.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The songs that I gravitate towards are the ones that are most honest. And I think at some point as an artist, you kind of, it's almost like a threshold that you have to cross from a writing standpoint. It's like, well, how honest are you going to be? And I tried it. I mean, I think I worked myself up into, I don't know, I psyched myself up. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to say it because it's true. And everything that I put in the song was true. And I feel like I sang it like it was true. It didn't feel like me just writing another pop song and me just being like, I'm going to sing a pop song like it's Matt. Like I took the time to really make sure that I wasn't just writing what I meant, but that I was singing as I meant.
Yeah. I think for you, and as a listener,
sure,
you, I think that it's not that you weren't honest prior to this song. It's just that like often it feels like, and this is many artists do this. It's like, yeah, you're still writing honest songs, but they're sort of through a story, or they're through some parable or something.
For example, there's nothing to be honest about in 1990 Awesome.
Sure,
it is just a pop. Like,
and
that
just, aside,
yeah,
that aside,
it's just candy.
But like a song like "Give It Up,"
yeah.
It's sometimes we.
Yeah.
It's we.
Yeah.
It's more of a collective.
Yeah.
And then
like, come on, gang.
Yeah, come on, gang. And then sometimes there's songs like New York Minute where it is an I kind of thing, but it's not. It's more of telling a story about I, as opposed to Stream of Consciousness. This is now. It's less of a present I as opposed to like, here's the story of this, and there's truth in that story, and that's a real thing, but it's not as stark.
Yeah, I think the gist of this song, if I were to put like a premise to it or like a story arc to it, it's that I have these moments where I am terrified of having wasted my life, just like I feel like everybody is. And I feel like the thought that kind of crept in around that terrified me even more was thinking about somebody wasting their life on me and how much heavier that felt. Like I almost felt like it was easier to say, you know what, if I waste my life, that's on me. It's totally fine.
Sure, yeah.
But when somebody like comes alongside of you and they give their life to you, to feel like you might somehow mismanage that. I think. Yeah,
I think that's a real fear that people have, especially around your age.
Oh my God. like I'm some kind of 50, 60-year-old person who knows
middle-aged
everything.
Man. Yeah. I mean, that's a heavy concept. So thank you for sharing it, because I don't know that it's ever been shared. I haven't. Well, I'm sure it has, but I haven't heard a song about that.
You and I have conversations like
sure, yeah. I mean, you and I, but not in a 3.5 minute pop song.
Yeah, it felt like sharing something private. It felt like a Matt and Davey conversation.
Sure, yeah.
That we ended up sharing with the audience, and I don't know how it. I mean, I don't know what everybody thinks about it.
We don't really care.
It's just sort of it's what it is.
Don't care.
Yeah. So production-wise on this song, this was another one of those where I was like, I want to make these synthesizers super tough. I want them to feel like they're on par with the guitars.
Yeah, and I think that the original demos were just guitars. And this is another one of those where we were like, after Inside Out, we said, okay, well, we now need to go back and add 1,000 synthesizers to everything.
Yeah, when we realized that Inside Out was going to be sort of set the tone for where we wanted the rest of the record to go, it was like, let's just throw synthesizers on everything to give it more continuity. I mean, there was a little more thought put into it than that, but...
I mean, that's basically the thought, though.
Yeah.
It's like we need to... this is not going to work if it's just... if it's sort of like just one guitar song.
Yeah.
Out there. We didn't want to do that. I think that's something that if I had to go back and critique 11 albums in the past, it's that, and I've even heard this of this album, but it's that there are rock songs and then there are
synth songs.
Yep. I think more consciously than ever. And I probably, if I'm playing armchair psychiatrist here, in the past, it's like you as synth guy had to deal with
rock and roll band
criticism of rock and roll band.
Right. That's
so
very true.
You're like, fuck it. These songs are just going to be rock and roll songs because I don't want to deal with it. And then I'm just going to have these 3 songs are just going to be my synth songs. Yeah. And now it's more of a, hey, we're all older and like my identity isn't wrapped up in like the bass parts that I play in 11tyseven. So I don't give a shit. Like, I just want a good song, you know? So I think that's been something that was more conscious or more on the front of our minds going through this process was, well, let's just make it all one thing.
I think, it's no secret that I normally end up doing most of the production work on 11ty stuff just because I'm producing it and that's the role of the producer. And so when you are the producer and the artist and you're singing and playing guitar and writing and all of this different stuff and wearing so many hats, it can feel like really foreign territory to figure out how to delegate or how to allow people into that process. And I don't think in any way that we did it perfectly with this record, but I did not feel like when I was making this record that I was as alone as I was doing something like Sugar Fist, where it's like, you know, those songs do kind of feel like oil and water, synth and rock. And they just never quite found a good balance. It's just sort of like hodgepodge. And then on this one, I feel like maybe what happens sonically with the record is indicative of what was happening on an interpersonal level with us.
Ooh, maybe.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like sonically it meshed more. Like this feels like coherent 11tyseven, what 11tyseven's been building up to for years. And I feel like this is, at this point, our relationships together feel the most satisfying as well. They feel coherent.
It's more like,
they don't feel like, who am I? Who are you? What's your role? What's my role?
It's creamer and coffee.
Hey, yeah. Are we friends? Are we not friends?
It's coffee and creamer.
It's coffee and creamer.
You're coffee and I'm creamer. We're coffee and creamer.
I'm the big, strong, black beverage.
Right. And I'm just a little bit of white stuff. A little bit of white stuff. All right. Good talk about this song.
Anyway, that's Hourglass.
Shout out, Beth.
Yeah, I hope that we can.
Does she listen to this?
No.
Good.
No, my mom doesn't know how to download podcasts. She's like, I tried to listen to your podcast. I'm like, how did you try? And she's like, it wasn't on the radio.
Yeah, well, it's not on the radio.
All right.
That's sort of the problem. Asynchronous communication.
Yeah.
Next up.
Yeah, so next up we have Never After, which was actually one of the very first demos that we did for Rad Science.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember that. I remember it. This was kind of like me just firing up the studio being like, I'm going to write what I think an 11ty song would be now. Kind of in the same way that New Rock Bottom was. It was like New Rock Bottom, Never After, and Wish Myself Away all kind of got kind of put into the more rock and roll territory where it was like, I don't really know how to fill these spots with synthesizers. I don't think the song needs to be, you know, EDM anthem.
Yeah.
I think it just needs to be, I wanted them to feel like us in a room together with the amps turned up, just kind of like locking eyes and rocking out.
Yeah, which we honestly, guys, we've not really had much of a chance to do in the history of 11tyseven. We've always been in different places, living in different places. So getting together, even to rehearse for tours, was like, hey, a friend of ours has this church that no one's going to be at for this amount of time. If we go there, there's nobody to kick us out.
Right.
So let's just show up and practice there on this really shitty gear or PA system, basically. And it's just as a band, like, and that's why I think 11tyseven has always sort of functioned in differently than many other bands. You know, 11tyseven is sort of this idea that is driven by you, that you get creamer from me, coffee and creamer.
Keep going. Anxious to see what other condiments you add into here.
But essentially that's it. It's that like it exists without a lot of jamming. Like so many bands that like the thing I love to do is to get in a room with a bunch of dudes and just jam.
Yeah.
And that's just something we've never had the ability to do until now.
Yeah, I mean, like I try to tell people, like I feel like I get random emails from people like, hey dude, let's get together and jam. And I just want to be like, dude, I'm not a jammer. I am not the guy to like come in the room and just keep running the A minor pentatonic blues scale, you know,
I think you have the wrong idea of jamming. It doesn't have to be blues jamming.
Well, no, I understand. I'm talking about the kind of people that would like,
but
that we know.
I think that you are a jammer and you will be a jammer when you have the ability to jam.
See, I think I just always have a direction. I always have I can sit
my gosh.
and jam with myself and feel like this is where I want this to go. So I'll just sit here.
That's
and
what a jam is.
I'll
it's
play
direction.
the roles of everyone in the room.
No. Jams are directions. They open directions you didn't even know existed.
Are you trying to talk me into jamming right now?
I'd love to jam with you.
Would you like to creamer my coffee?
But jams, and I hate saying jam because it sounds so stupid, but this just getting together and then what the way I've always done it is I will write a riff or I'll write a chorus or a hook and I'll come to the guys and I'm like, here's what I got. I'm going to play the chords. I'm going to sing the song.
Yep.
Right. Here's my clean guitar. I'm going to sing you the song. This is what the song is. Now let's figure out what the song sounds like.
Yeah.
And then Adam or somebody will say, okay, well, this probably needs something like this. And drummer will lay down something. And then I'll be like, maybe not something like that. Give me something 3/4 or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he'll slide into that. And then Adam's stuff is coming together with his 3/4. And then we'll lay down something on the bass, something a little funky, a little fat and funky. And then it's all starting to happen. And then somebody yells into the mic, we need more high end. And then Adam will go up to a chimey high end thing. And it just sort of grows over the course of 15
organically.
minutes. It just grows into something. And it's this idea of plucking it out of the air. It's
see, I'm jealous of that. I mean, with the new studio almost being finished, I think we're going to have the opportunity to dive into that, which I'm really, really excited about. Those scenarios also really stress the hell out of me as a control freak.
I know they do.
Yeah. So
I know they do.
I want to,
but we can grow, Matt.
It's almost I'm scared. I'm scared to pursue something like that because I'm afraid I will piss everyone off with how controlling or in my efforts to try to do it right or to even just experience. But I don't know. I just mean like what if I get in there and I get really stressed out and I start feeling like I need to control this. I need to do.
This is a learning experience for you.
Yeah,
you're gonna need to relax and let go. No one ever has to hear this stuff. We're just dudes in a room jamming, and as long as you're in there with guys that you trust their musicianship, that's when it's great. If you're in there with guys that you're like, I could do it better than you're doing it. That's the part where you gotta let it go.
Well, that's so when I'm tracking other bands and maybe we're doing some writing stuff or coming up with different things, I feel like I'm always walking this line of, hey, I think that's a cool part. I think you've got something better in you, and I'll know it when I hear it. And that's not and. I think a lot of times that can be interpreted as somebody being like, Matt keeps telling me I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And that's not true. That's not true at all. I'm just I know you have something awesome in you.
Sure.
And it'll come out eventually. We just need to give it a minute.
Yeah,
that's
give it a minute.
Just give it a minute.
And guess what? If you just gave it a minute and you just let the thing roll.
Take my own damn advice.
Just give it a minute.
Right?
Just let it happen.
You're true. That's right. That's true.
That thing, it'll coalesce and it'll become this thing that maybe you would have done one part of this differently. But this has never existed.
Yeah.
Ever. And this took 5 brains to come up with. And this took one person thinking specifically about this one part.
So you're saying the world has heard what Matt Langston comes up with by himself in a cave.
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, what would happen if Matt were to get together with a small tribe and start to say
I'm saying
I wonder how that would work out.
Nothing of great importance has ever been accomplished alone.
Mm.
And I think that songwriting...
You clearly stole that from somewhere on the internet.
I think it's in one of those...
Or your Audible account.
14 tips to leadership things.
Right.
No, but it's true. If you look back at anything, it's one person didn't do anything alone. And you've not done any of this alone. No. You know what I mean? But it's, when I think about jamming, or I think about writing music,
It makes you excited.
It makes me so excited because I'm we could be I know I've got limits, Yeah. I know I'm going to write things a certain way, and I know they're going to write things a certain way. But the beautiful thing about a great rock band is it's more than the sum of its parts. So if you put all of us together, we all of a sudden, it's not addition, it's multiplication at that point.
Yeah.
And now instead of there's just 5 guys in a room, now there's an exponential, infinite amount of
possibilities and
resource and ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't realize until after the song was done how similar the intro feels actually super robot rockish. Daft Punk has a song called Robot Rock, and it sort of is this chopped up guitar line over and over again. Just kind of like resampled.
Oh, yeah.
And ours is like kind of similar to that. It's a little more like free flowing and rock and roll. But yeah, this again was us throwing a ton of synthesizers over top of guitars and then being like, what would it feel like if playing a synthesizer looked just as cool and tough as throwing on a Les Paul and like giving yourself back problems.
Yeah, and this one structurally is sort of par for the course for an 11 song.
Yeah. This is like pretty typical of an 11 song. I also think it kind of has this cool. It reminds me of songs that we listened to when we were growing up in high school. Like it reminds me of a lot of Sugar Cult.
Yeah, you know what it really reminds me of? You're not gonna like this at all.
Oh no!
The chorus reminds
Diana
me
Ross.
No, that second My Chemical Romance record.
Oh really?
Yeah, totally. Where it's like really dark and moody, and then you get to the chorus and it's an up chorus, or it's a major chord chorus.
I'm a huge fan of that. Like some of my favorite 11 songs kind of go from minor key verse to major key chorus because it's a whole nother lift. It's like a whole nother way of kind of smiling musically.
Yeah, it's a oppress release.
Yeah,
oppress release. It's great. It's
a very German way of writing songs.
It's a very German way of explaining that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
No, it's.
Yeah. This was also looking back on it now. It feels like the bridge of that is just like, God, we threw everything in the kitchen sink at that.
Yes. And again, just for a few.
I don't think I'm happy with it actually.
For a few, I am. I like it.
I think I'll be happy with it live
because it's not full measures, right? Like it's it skips the fourth.
Yeah, I'd say it gets a little weird with the time signature in there.
Yeah, I love that. I love stuff like that. That just it feels a little bit off, and you don't really know why because it's not weird enough to make you question it, but it feels just a little bit pushed. Almost. Yeah. And then put some creepy guitar line on top of that. All into that.
Yeah.
And then down chorus and then up chorus.
True. I think the song lyrically is about, I think it's about buying into, I think it's about living for imagery. I think it's about constantly being glued to your screen or your phone and judging how your life looks and how your relationships look and how all of that stuff looks by what you see, I don't know, just in social media or the way people decide to present themselves online. Because everybody knows that life is so different off camera.
Yeah.
Everybody knows life is so different off screen and that relationships look different. Friendships look different. Everything is infinitely more nuanced and complicated. And I feel like maybe there's something about us that really does crave simplicity because we like to just put things in boxes. We like to not have to think about every little thing. I think that's what's attractive about the way people present themselves online. It's like you're kind of just presented as a hero. You're always the hero of your own story online. You rarely ever play your own villain. And I think that's something that as I'm saying that out loud, I'm actually kind of just talking through this myself. That's why I feel like I have a hard time completely engaging and just being all about social media because I'm the hero of my own story in that. And I would much rather, I feel like I feel inclined to sabotage it because I know it's not real. I feel like I feel inclined to just say, no, I'm going to write a song like Hourglass. I'm going to say something that I know not everybody is on board with, that I feel, and just not be afraid to say it or express my thoughts and feelings on that, just to kind of prove that, like, no, I'm a person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just all the happy pictures that I post.
Sure.
I'm not just all of the touched up Photoshoppy things that come along with being part of a band.
There's almost a responsibility with social media that's hard to accept. Like, if I'm going to show you this, then isn't it also a logical thought that I would need to show you the other side of it too? But then, like, I don't want to show anybody.
Nobody
the other
wants
side.
to show your dirty laundry online.
I want to show you the first side.
I don't want to show you the good stuff.
I don't want nothing to do
Y'all
with it.
get nothing.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. We could talk about this forever.
I just feel like it's kind of interesting that we love sharing stories about how bad social media is on social media. It's almost like we've completely lost the point. If you really do believe these things about social media, get off of it. Dial it back.
Yeah.
Go have a face-to-face conversation with them. I feel like you and I have both tried really hard to. We actually haven't had a choice. Like since Rad Science came out, we've had so many different things happening in life that we don't even have time to paint them as looking cool online. Like,
Yeah. Also,
we just
to
haven't
be
had
honest,
the bandwidth for that.
To be honest, since I got married, I stopped giving a shit. Like,
Okay.
top to bottom, I realized that a lot of social media for me was just unconsciously peacocking.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that's what it was. And then I got married and I'm like, oh, I just totally could not give a shit what
It's just
any of you think of me.
affirmation. Like I don't want this shallow affirmation. I don't want to wake up like 10 years from now and be like, I don't know how to live without likes.
Yeah.
I don't know how to live without likes.
Yeah.
And I feel like you and I both know people that are like that now, where it's like if they're not acknowledged on social media, they don't even realize it's happening. They walk around like glued to their phones, like their face is completely glued to their phone. And it's like, what, you're missing out. You're just missing out. I need people to come to me and tell me that too. Like I'm just as guilty as everybody of being like, oh, I wonder if I got a Gmail.
I wonder if I got a Gmail.
That's like so.
Well, I think there is a difference there because like I do work a lot. I like to work.
Yeah.
That's something that I do get pleasure out of. And I work on a lot of different things. So like I am always on my phone.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing either, but it's not this other part of me that used to be so prevalent of like,
Right.
I want to make my life seem awesome. And I want everyone to know, and everybody I went to high school with.
Yeah, I want everyone to think it's all
and
cool.
everybody to think and to be like, oh, his life is awesome.
Yeah, but that's so lowest common denominator.
I know.
I'm totally there with you. Like how many times am I just sitting there like with my own thoughts and all of a sudden this like just randomly I'll have this thought creep in the back of my head. It's like, man, what's something you could do that would prove everyone in high school that hated you that you're so much cooler than them? And I'm like, where the fuck did that thought come from?
Yeah.
Why do I care about that? Like what?
Yeah.
Like why does my brain keep throwing that back up at me? It's
don't
like it's
know.
over. Like it's done. Like life is for the living today.
Yeah, it's a real thing though. I mean, people everywhere feel that, you know?
Yeah.
They want to prove their worth.
Instead of just accept that they have worth.
Yeah. I think for me, I still want to prove my worth, but I
Okay.
just want to do it in a different way. I mean, what social media to me is like, I want somebody pretty to like me. I mean, let's be
I want
honest.
to prove how,
I want someone pretty to think I'm interesting.
We have friends that are like that.
Yeah.
It's where I'm like, you know, we have friends that would be sitting in front of us right now and be like, no, you know, and so I get what social media is about. And I'm like, why don't you post pictures with unattractive people that you're friends with?
Yeah.
Why don't you post pictures of you and I together?
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah. And then you know, I have those thoughts, and that might not be the case for everybody, but it absolutely was the case for me. And I didn't realize it until after I got married. And I'm like, I got a super hot wife, and I literally could not give a shit about taking a selfie.
True. Speaking of being
It's
married,
hard for me to take a selfie of like,
yeah,
it's so difficult for me to take a picture of myself.
Yeah.
Because I know the way I think about the people that are doing it. And I don't want to have to go to sleep tonight knowing that like, or just thinking about like raising my phone to take a picture of myself.
Which is still a cycle of acceptance.
Oh, I know.
You can make the argument that's still a cycle of acceptance.
But the thing that is like the most, almost terrifying to me is being somewhere around other people and raising a phone to take a picture of myself.
That's
it
scary.
is so, I am so self-conscious.
That is really scary.
About what those people are saying because I know what they're thinking. Because it's what I'm thinking. It's not healthy to be like this, but that's honestly a thing for me. It's like, I just can't, like, I wish, because we need content, I really wish I could be comfortable taking pictures of myself, but I can't. It's so uncomfortable.
I feel like you and I have this conversation all the time. For everybody who ever wonders what's going on behind the scenes,
it's pretty much
with Eleventy.
Both of us telling each other to take selfies.
Yeah, it's because we're actually not big, gosh, what am I saying? What am I saying? I was going to say we're not big fans of ourselves, but I feel like I'm probably one of your biggest fans.
We're big fans of each other.
But I'm not a fan of the imagery of Davey Davenport. I'm a fan of the person of Davey Davenport. I'm not a fan of pictures and seeing Davey do cool shit. I'm more interested in Davey and I spending time together, working on projects that we really love together. Davey's the same way with me. He's like, you need to take pictures. We need content. And that is all about staying in front of people, staying in front of people's conscience. And if it means I have to give up all of the things that I love about privacy in life. All the things, like, then I'll do it. If it means I'm never in a successful band because I don't post enough Instagram pictures, fuck it. I'm not interested.
Amen.
I'm just really not.
I'm not.
Like, I do not want to get to, like, you can't take a selfie of a tombstone, you know?
Ooh.
Like, when it's gone, it's gone.
Right.
And the selfies won't matter. It's the moments that weren't captured on Instagram that will matter the most.
Right.
Like,
however, we are in an industry that requires us to be on the front of people's lives.
It's true. It's true. We walk the line.
Yeah, and if we're going to run some successful music venture, we've got to figure out a way to do it. I think that's where, like, when it comes to you and I doing this for you and I, it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
But if it came to, like, there's a band and you and I are doing this for another band, it's like, well, of course, take your fucking selfie.
Well, that's why when
you
we talk
need to take your selfie.
Yeah, that's
like,
why when
we'll get a girl to follow you around and take selfies of you. Like, we will find a way to make it happen because it's what needs to happen.
Right.
However, there is a way that you and I could do it that doesn't compromise our.
I think what you and I are doing right now is healthy. You and I are interested in creating content. We want to hear conversations. So we have them.
Sure.
So we have a podcast. It's all about conversations with other artists talking about things that we want to talk about. That's creating content and being a part of an enterprise that we want to grow and build. It's not just this blatant circle jerk of Insta shots for the sake of just staying in front of people, for the sake of just staying in front of people's minds.
But one could argue it should be because it would work.
I mean, you can.
That's the thing.
You can argue that.
But we know it works. Like, but the question then becomes like, well, what are you willing to give up of yourself to make something work?
Yeah. So that actually leads me to my next question. We've gone forever on never after. I didn't think we were going to say anything.
About that?
Yeah. I've had people come to me and say, why don't you post anything about Jessica? Are you not proud to be with her? Like, why did you not wish her a happy birthday on Facebook? Why did you not do this? Like, why did you guys just go to a thing and then you not post any pictures of you guys together? And I'm like, because I was there with her. Because I was having a marriage. I was having a life. I was having a relationship with her. And I wasn't spending time asking for your validation.
Yeah, you're not a part of that.
you don't get that. You don't get my marriage all the time.
You're not a part of my marriage.
Yeah.
You're a part of my band. You're a part of my music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you're just not a part of my marriage.
Yeah, because you shouldn't be. I'm not a part of yours.
Yeah.
Like,
my wife is a social media fiend, but she doesn't post a lot of pictures of Devin. My son. She doesn't post a lot of pictures of me just because we've had some conversations and it's like, hey, let him decide when he gets older.
Yeah, it's important.
And then, I'm just a private person.
Yeah.
Like, I just want my stuff to be my stuff and I just don't want to share it with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just don't say anything about me. Like, honestly, like, and then like, I've gotten better because she'll send me something on Facebook and I've gotten better about liking it or commenting on it. But the last thing I want to feel like it's a part of that is the thing that's most sacred to me.
Sure.
Let's don't trivialize our marriages in such a way that causes people to question whether you have a healthy marriage or not if you're not posting pictures with each other. That's just people being like, these are two different things. And it's almost like, man, if you put that stress on me that I had to, like the actual worth of my marriage was based on the amount and quality of content I produced of my marriage, that is too much stress. And we are focusing on the wrong part of the marriage.
Yeah.
Like, we should be putting all of that energy because if honestly, it would be all I ever talk about.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
That would be it. Like, if I actually did it, it's the only thing I would talk about, the only thing I would post pictures of, because that's pretty much all I do.
Yeah.
And if like I had to work that much to prove to you that my marriage is in a good shape. It's like, man, that's nonsense.
I just remind myself every day, life is lived off camera. And the more that you end up on camera, the less life you're living. I mean,
that makes sense.
I don't think that applies to every single situation, but for me,
it certainly applies to us. Yeah.
Been a really good been a good measuring stick.
Also, the podcast has helped me give less shits. It's helped me not care. Like, I even care less than I did before.
Yeah.
Like, I do. I even care less.
Because, but explain that. Because in some ways you do care more. But I think when you say you care less, you feel more free.
I feel more open and more free. And I sort of, maybe just because I ripped the Band-Aid off and I don't mind sitting here talking, but like, I'm still not going to take a picture of myself. But honestly, like, there are things in the past where both of us are like, we really shouldn't say that in that post, or we should phrase that a different way, or we should dial that back, or you can't say this, you can't say that. And now it's like, we've said so much shit on here that, like, I don't care anymore.
Well, because it's like, I'm not going to get to the end of my life and feel like I lived it following everybody else's rules. Like, I lived it muting myself so that everybody else around me could do their own thing.
You're also just like, all of that energy you're putting into limiting yourself.
Put it into creating something.
Put it into something else. Like, what are you not becoming because of this?
What a great question. Like, that's an excellent question.
What are you stopping from happening by holding back?
Are you just not doing something because you're afraid somebody is going to disagree with you and it makes you uncomfortable, or that you're going to offend somebody and they're going to somehow not like you? It's like, I am over making decisions in my life and in my career simply to have other people like me and to fit in. I'm miserable when I'm doing that. You're miserable when you're doing that. We talk about this shit all the time. It's like, and it's so tempting to fall back into that. It's so tempting to be like, I really want this person to like me. I really want for this group of people to like me. I really want for this age group to feel like it's safe to listen to me. And I'm just like, that was fine and dandy for a certain portion of my life, and now I want something more.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
I think one other thing before we move on from this is...
we still have another song left.
Shit. Is like, one of the reasons I don't like weighing in on... There's a million reasons.
Sure.
Right? But one of the reasons I don't
What do you mean by weighing in?
You know, we're all...
sharing an opinion about something you're not fully
something
formed.
Happened yesterday. Right. It's a current event. You take to social, and there are two sides, and they're vehement about their sides.
Oh, yeah.
One of the reasons I don't want to weigh in right then is because I change my mind all the time.
Yeah.
All the fucking time.
Sure.
Like, all the time. Sometimes I will be telling somebody why I believe one thing.
Yeah.
In the sentence, I will convince myself to believe it the other way.
You Jack Skellington yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that happens all the time. And like, in that arena of social, it's like, you're so judged and measured by, it's like, whatever you said right then, that is you.
Yeah. We talked a lot about this last podcast with Steven.
Yeah. And
we were going through the school shootings and stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, now it's like, the pod for me is like, well, I've probably had 3 different positions on anything.
Yeah.
Within the course of this whole podcast.
No, yeah, it's
so been, I mean, I don't even care. I've ripped the Band-Aid off.
This show is...
I'm a flip-flopper.
One of the most cathartic experiences, I think, for both of us.
It has been,
has been, yeah. Okay, so I know that we're running long on the podcast. We should
Wish Myself Away.
So, Wish Myself Away, the very last track on the album. This one is actually the one I've gotten the most mail about. That people just being like, I love this song.
Really?
Like, I think it's really, for whatever reason. And we kind of thought this was going to be a throwaway track.
So much so that it almost wasn't on the record. It was at the very last moment.
It almost didn't make the record.
There were like 3 undone songs. And this was a demo you had for Sugar Fist.
I think we might have even had another. Yeah. This one almost made it onto Sugar Fist, and for whatever reason, something happened in the studio and we weren't able to finish it. But yeah, this is a holdover from Sugar Fist, and we went through a few different iterations of this song, mostly just with the lead line. Like, it would be synth heavy or guitar heavy, and then I feel like it kind of ended up coming out somewhere in like the Rentals or Motion City soundtrack kind of area.
Yeah, very Motion City.
Quirky songwriting a la Weezer. And then production kind of feels very much like 2008.
Yeah. This one,
which I love.
If there's a reason
Coincidentally.
this one sounds the most like 11tyseven, which is probably why 11tyseven fans like it.
It's the oldest song on the record.
It's because it was written in like 2008.
Yeah.
And it almost didn't make the record. There were a couple of other tracks. One of them was provocative.
One of the lyrics on this song was?
Not the lyrics. One of the other songs that didn't make the record.
Oh, yeah.
And we bounced back and forth on like, that's a good way to say that. Because I don't know that we were, it was, maybe we'll B-sides that one day.
Yeah. I think we actually do have some leftovers from the Rad Science sessions that are going to be put into an EP.
Also,
specifically for Kickstarter backers, if any of the Kickstarter backers are listening.
Also understand the irony of somebody in 11tyseven saying that, we were real provocative there. I get it. It's not really that provocative.
No, yeah, but within the ecosphere of 11D,
sure,
it's like where I think we're setting a lot of precedents right now.
Vice. Okay.
Some people think we're lowering the bar, and they interpret that as us lowering the bar. We totally get it. We're just doing our thing, and we're trying to follow the things that make us happy.
We may be lowering the bar, but at least we're in control of the fucking bar.
But at least we're still playing limbo.
I said fuck a lot in this episode. Can we go back and just beeps?
No.
Beeps.
Just live with it. Just live in the uncomfortability of knowing that you wish you would have said something different.
I'm vulgar. It's vulgar.
I am too.
Well, I know, but I wish I weren't so vulgar because there's very nice people who listen to this and they don't want to hear this shit. I'm sorry again.
All right, you're in a downward spiral.
I wish I could wish myself away.
I'm gonna save you. Yeah, I think that's the thing that people related to probably more than anything else. Like lyrically, I think people innately kind of just aren't happy with themselves. Everybody wakes up to 100 different messages that are inadvertently asking you to improve yourself or assuming that there is something about yourself that you want to improve or that you should improve. You should look this way. You should listen to this. You should have this device. You should eat this way. You should diet this way. This is what your body should look like. This is what your relationship should look like. Here's all these, it goes back to the whole Instagram thing again. And it's like, I think as I'm talking about this, I'm realizing that this story arc is I do not want to come to the end of my life and realize that I wasted it on trivial things, like wanting people to like me, on trivial things like feeling like to have self-worth, I need to be
viral.
I need to go viral. I need to have eyeballs. I need eyeballs on me to feel validated or to feel like, my career was worth anything or that my talent or my songs were worth anything.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to live the rest of my life in misery, just trying to attain these things that ultimately, like, when you're gone, they're gone.
Would you say that you're not going to live your life
to meet a quota?
Just to meet a quota.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I get it.
Taking everyone's orders. Walking around like a corporate.
I think what you're getting at is that I've just consistently written the same song over and over and over again.
And you're writing it again
quota.
right now.
I'm writing it again right now. This podcast is basically the song quota all over again.
Yeah.
I had fun on this one because I felt like it felt sort of MXPX-ish to me.
Yeah.
It felt super MXPX-ish.
MXPX, huh?
Yeah. Wish Myself Away, I think, was the most fitting way to end the record.
Yeah.
I think it summed up a lot of what was happening lyrically, and it was also like quintessential 11D, just guitars, synthesizers. It kind of felt like something that could have been on Galactic, maybe.
Yeah, it was if I were an 11D fan, I would feel like they were thinking about me.
Yeah,
when they slapped that at the end.
When they slapped me in the back of the head with that lame ass song.
No, it's great. And that's honestly, that goes to show you how little bands and songwriters understand people.
or even understand what they're writing about sometimes. Even understand
what they're doing. Because honestly, guys, if you would have gotten 4 or 5 people who were involved in this record in a room and said, what's the track?
Yeah.
We would have all said Inside Out.
All given different answers.
I feel like we would have all said Inside Out. Like we would have said Inside Out, Microchip. Yeah, one of those two. And
the one that was going to like kind of float to the top and resonate with the most people. Yeah, I would never guess this one.
No. And the last one I would have guessed would be this one. Not that it's bad or it's just, it just goes to show you how little we all know.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And on that note, thank you so much for bearing with us through this Rad Science commentary. To our 11ty-lifers listening audience, we really miss you guys. We're trying to put together possibly some live shows in the future. Woo! Yeah, but before we do that, let me just go ahead and tell you, we are still working on a Q&A episode that we're already in production on right now. So if you have questions or you have thoughts or comments, this is your opportunity to be a part of the podcast and to speak back into the things that you want to hear. So if there's questions about the album, questions about different topics that we've covered, or maybe you just disagree with us. Maybe you feel like, you know what, Matt and Dave really missed the point, and it's going to give my life a little bit more meaning to just kind of be contrary or have a different opinion. However, we love it. Love it.
Just know that the line is long. There's a long waiting list.
They got a lot of haters.
Yeah. That's all right.
So anyway, we love you guys. Thank you so much for everybody that's listening and sharing the podcast and bringing your friends on to be a part of the conversation. It's amazing. We're so grateful to you guys, and we are coming up with new ways to say thank you as we speak.
Thank God.
Hey, we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.